All right, Objective 23 Level 2s are using what we did in Objective 22, which was surface area and volume, but now we're going to be working backwards to find a missing side length and then finding either the volume or the surface area. So if we look at number 1, it says find the volume of a right triangular prism with a triangle base of 4 and a triangle height of 3, and we've got a surface area of 132. So what I would do is first, always, devise a plan. So if I'm going to do the volume, I'm going to do the area of the base times the height. Okay, so that's eventually what I need to figure out. Now I'm going to go back in my problem and write down what I know. I know the base of the triangle is 4. The height of the triangle is 3. So then if I do Pythagorean theorem, I can find that third side. That third side is going to be 5. Okay, so now in order to find the area of the base, I have everything I need, but I don't know what the height of this figure is in order to find the volume. So what I'm going to do is use the fact that I know that the surface area is 132 and set up an equation in order to solve for the height. So the area of the base for the surface area is going to be 1/2 3 times 4. And since there's two bases, I'm going to include both of them, so I'm going to multiply by 2. And then I'm going to use h to represent the height. So the area of the bottom, what it's resting on, is 4 times h. And the area of what's standing up on the side is going to be 3 times h. And then I'm going to add another 5 times h. And this is going to equal 132. So I'm finding the surface area, but I don't always have all the parts, but I know what the outcome is going to be. So from here, I'm just going to solve the equation. This part here is going to be 12. And then I can add 4 plus 3 plus 5, and that's going to be 12h. So if I continue to solve this, h is going to equal 10. So now that I know what the height is, I can go ahead and find the volume. So area of the base, 1/2 3 times 4 times the height. That's going to equal 60. So 60 centimeters cubed for the volume. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. We've got the volume of a cone that has a diameter of 16 inches, so that means that the radius is going to be 8. And the surface area is 144. So again, the volume. So to find the volume of the cone, I'm going to take the area of the base times the height, pi r squared times h. Now again, I don't know the height, so maybe I can find that out using the surface area. So if the surface area is 144, to find the surface area of a cone, I'm going to take the circumference times the lateral area and divide it by 2, and then add in the area of the base. And since I know that equals 144 pi, I'm going to add in what I know. So the circumference is pi times diameter, so 16 pi. I don't know L, so I'm going to leave it as L and divide it by 2, and add in a 64 pi. I can simplify the 16 over 2 into 8 pi times L plus 64 pi equals 144. And since all three terms have pi in them, they're all going to divide out. So I have 8L plus 64 equals 144. And I'm just going to solve this like a normal equation. So L is going to equal 10. So now I'm going to put that back in my picture. So that's a slant height, so that's 10. Again, I'm not going to use that for the volume because I need the inside height, but knowing the slant height, I can find the inside height using Pythagorean theorem to be 6. And then I'm just going to put that into my formula. So pi times your radius squared times 6. Is going to be 384 pi inches cubed. Alright, so this one is a little bit different here. We've got the surface area of a cylinder is 32 pi, and then the height is going to be 6. We want to find the volume. So we're missing a very key part of this, which is the radius. So if I know the surface area is 32 pi, in order to find the surface area of a cylinder, that's going to be 2 pi r squared, because there's two circular bases, plus the circumference, or pi, times diameter, times the height, equals 32 pi. Okay. What I want to do with this is, since I have three variables, I have the radius, the diameter, and the height, I want to get this down to one variable. So the height I'm going to replace with 6 because that's given in the problem, but I still have an r and a d. So if there's a way that we can represent either one or the other in one variable, that's what we want to do. So for the diameter, I know that if I take 2 times r, that's going to be the same thing as the diameter. So I'm going to say 2r pi times the height, which is 6. So again, I wanted to represent in one variable, so that's why I changed d into 2r. And then I'm just going to continue to simplify here. So 2 pi r squared plus 12 r pi equals 32 pi. And once again, you've got pi's in every term, so they're going to divide out. So I have 2r squared plus 12r equals 32. And here's what I told you will always come back to you. You've got an r squared and an r. You have to factor this. There is no other way to solve this. So you want to get everything to one side, keeping the squared term positive. I can divide everything by 2 to make this simpler. And now my factors are going to be r plus 8 and r minus 2. So that means r could equal -8 and r could equal 2. Now, you got to think about this, is can r equal a negative number? Well, r represents the radius, and radius is a length, so I can't have r to be a negative number. So r equals -8 doesn't work. So the radius only can be 2 in this problem. So now I can find the volume since I know the radius. Remember, the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times the height. This is going to be pi times 2 squared times 6. So your volume is going to be 24 pi inches cubed. Alright, last but not least, the diagonal of one of the faces of the cube is 8 root 2. Find the total surface area and volume of the cube. So in order to find the surface area and the volume, I need to know the side length of the cube. Good news is that the cube has all the same side lengths. So if I find one, I've really found the other one. So if I have the diagonal, the face is a side of the cube. So the diagonal is going to be 8 root 2. And I need to know the side length. Well, like I said before, the side lengths are going to be the same all over the cube. So if you see a triangle, we can do the Pythagorean theorem and say x squared plus x squared equals 8 root 2. And here's where a lot of you make a mistake, is that you forget to square the 8 root 2. So remember, you've got to square that c side. Okay? It just doesn't equal the 2 legs squared. You got to square that last side. So continue to simplify. I have 2x squared equals, and remember, you square the 8 and you square the root. It's going to be 64 times 2. So I have 2x squared equals 128. X squared equals 64. And then x is going to equal 8. So that's the side length of the cube. So to now find surface area, I'm going to find the area of all the faces. So to find the area of one face is going to be 8 times 8. And since all the faces are going to be the same area, I can multiply this by 6 because there are 6 sides in a cube. 4 going around, and then 1 on the bottom and 1 on the top. So 8 times 6 equals 384. And then your volume is just going to be 8 times 8 times 8, or 8 cubed. Which will give you 512. And since there are no units listed, we can just leave them just like this. So those are level 2s. Good luck.